Welcome to college volleyball on the SEC Network tonight. It's the first round of the NCAA Volleyball Championship live from College Station and Texas A&M University. Welcome inside Reed Arena, everyone. Casey Richardson alongside Chelsea Reber, and for the first time since 2015, the Aggies are hosting in the NCAA tournament first and second rounds. And Chelsea, their opponent tonight, the St. John's Red Storm, is going to give them a run for their money.
St. John's is coming off a thrilling weekend. Big East tournament champions to get to this spot in the NCAA tournament. Texas A&M, however, 12-1 at Reed Arena this year. The Aggies definitely have the home court advantage. Headed to Wisconsin.
Laura Bird-Coon in her second season at the helm of the Aggie program, the 2019 SEC Coach of the Year. Bird, came into this program, really needed to turn things around, and so far has done a really great job of getting the players, she likes to call it, getting them to buy in.
They bought in immediately. That's not something she could necessarily expect, but what she has done with the culture of this program, the team chemistry for this team has just been excellent all season.
The person that started the program at St. John's is still there, Joanne Persico, in her 26th season at the helm of the Red Storm program, only the second time in program history that they've won the Big East, and they are excited to be here in College Station in the NCAA championships. Looking at these two teams on paper, Chelsea, when you compare them, oh my goodness, they are so similar from top to bottom.
I mean, some of these categories are just tenths of a point apart. St. John's outnumbering the Texas A&M Aggies just a little bit in aces. I'm expecting them to come out serving very aggressively. We'll see if Texas A&M serve receive can handle it, but as you mentioned, Casey, all of those numbers so similar. This is a very, very even matchup tonight.
Well, we expect to see some great things from both of these teams. The match before this one, Rice swept Oklahoma, so the winner of this match will play the Rice Owls at 6:30 Central Time tomorrow. So we'll see which of these two teams that will be, and that's going to be an error on the first serve of the match from St. John's. Alexa Koo served it right into the net.
And sometimes in postseason games, it takes a few points to get the nerves out. We'll see if A&M can answer strong with that and capitalize on that mistake.
McKenna Patterson gets her serve in. So here we go right away. Big kill there from Michailova for Red Storm.
And that's a great way to answer back. One of your teammates misses their first serve, gives the ball right to A&M. But to come out, get the pass, and get the kill right away, nice answer right there by St. John's.
St. John's, a very international roster. We'll talk more about that as we go here tonight. Going to get a net violation on the Red Storm, or the Johnnies, as they are also known as. Carly Basham checks in to serve for the Aggies, freshman. One of the defensive specialists who comes on in the back row for Texas A&M. Michailova again tips it over. Mallory Talbot for the Aggies running that slide play, and we talked about the setter for St. John's before the game, Erica DeMalo, but we did not talk about Camille Connor, the setter for Texas A&M Junior, and we'll mention her a lot as this match goes along as well, number 18 for the Aggies. Off the hands, nobody there to get it. Looked like that ball just kind of fell short right in front of Rosteely.
Mallory Talbert has been really good as of late, had 11 kills in their last match against Florida. And she's just really done a nice job of coming on strong for Texas A&M.
Quick timeout here, a 4-1 A&M. St. John's wants back in College Station at Reed Arena, and that was a quick timeout by St. John's early on here in this first set.
I think Coach Persico just saw the nerves from her team, a couple of forced mistakes and just some miscommunication, and just wanted to kind of regroup and not let this get too far away from them.
Missed down the line coming out of the timeout, so I would definitely say that nerves are playing a part. This is not a team, though, who is unused to playing ranked teams. And when you look at their record this year and who they've played some pretty tough opponents. There's a kill, or that's going to be off the net, hit the antenna. So another unforced error by St. John's.
Yeah, 2 hitting errors back-to-back, especially out of that timeout. That is not what you want if you are St. John's. You're playing a team who is, the 13th seed in the tournament. They are the host team. You don't have to be perfect, but you've got to keep balls in play.
Rosteely with those last 2 errors there. That's going to go long as well. St. John's going to ask for a touch, and they are going to get it on that one.
And that's a good call. I definitely thought that Carly Basham put her hands on that one, tried to kind of take it over her head. Might have thought she saw a touch on the block as well, trying to play that ball, but finally a side out there for St. John's, and that's a big point for them.
You mentioned the aces from St. John's prior to this game starting, and that one goes long, but they are a very tough serving team. A&M serve receive is going to be challenged.
They are tough, though. We've already seen a couple of service errors, so that's a lot of times when you have a team that gets a lot of aces, there are also a lot of errors. You just got to make sure you keep that in check. Right now, St. John's struggling a little bit behind the service line.
One of the toughest servers in the SEC this season, Holland Hands for A&M. And you can see why her serves are tough when she clears the net, and that's just kind of the love-hate relationship with a server like Holland Hands.
And sometimes it takes her a rotation or two to kind of get in the rhythm, get in the groove. We hadn't really seen her take a swing yet from the front row either, so first kind of big arm swing we've seen from Hands was right there behind the service line.
She'll take this serve receive. Connor pushes it out to Davis, freshman. SEC all-freshman team along with Rush for the Aggies. That's going to be out. Going to have a touch on A&M again on that one.
Yeah, the up ref is actually going to be the one who called that. Alexa Koo with her first kill of the night. Expect to hear her name a lot.
That's going to be an ace. One of those aces, Michaelova, Clara Michaelova gets that one for St. John's.
And just like that, St. John's finding themselves getting back into this game. And, we mentioned how quick that timeout was. You don't want to let the lead get too big. You don't want to let the other team get on too big of a run. But you've got to believe that you can kind of chip away at that deficit as well.
The Aggies get back up by 3 with a kill by Lauren Davis. And Patterson comes back in. Camila Gomez, the senior from Columbia, goes back to serve now. Lots of international playing experience for her. There's going to be an ace for the senior libero for the Aggies.
And Gomez is just so much fun to watch. She brings so much energy to the court. This will be her only year playing at Texas A&M. She was with the program last year but could not play because of transfer rules. So this will be her one and only year, but she has made the most of it.
That serve tough again. Dig by Holland Hands. She's going to come out of the back row, blocked out. So point Texas A&M, and that is something you'll see a lot of tonight. They really want to utilize Holland Hands wherever she is on the court.
She's good from anywhere on the court. Left side, right side, back row, behind the service line we talked about. And when one component of her game isn't necessarily working, she's got so many other components to rely on, and then along with her teammates to pick her up.
Big dig there off of Alexa Koo by Camila Gomez. Here comes Alexa Koo again. That one would have been out had it not been dug, and then that's going to go off the block. Alexa Koo going to be giving a lot of swings as well here in this match tonight. Lauren Davis uses the hands off the block. McKenna Patterson rejects a tip. Lexicu off the block. Smart play from the sophomore for the Red Storm.
You mentioned only a sophomore, but Alexicu has been so good for St. John's. She was named All Big East first team, and she leads the team coming into this match with kills.
She's got 3 in this match here tonight already, and that's going to be a service error, though, for St. John's. When you have a team with a lot of aces, you're always going to have a lot of errors, too. They kind of, I don't want to say they balance each other out, but it's just, like you talked about earlier, that's just part of it when you have a team that serves as tough as they do. Camille Connor back in the back row, brings the freshman Trayana Rush in, and you can see why everybody's so high on her with her block. Patterson gets the kill for the Aggies. The junior, who is actually graduating early in December and leaving the Aggies after this season.
McKenna Patterson is so quick to get up in the air, so she doesn't necessarily have to hit the ball hard. It's got so much speed that she rarely has a big, solid block in front of her, and then she's able to kind of just find the open court.
Nice up there by Holland Hands. Lexicu finds that shot down the line for the kill.
Huge swing right there by number 6 on the outside. She has a very, very big block in front of her in Trayana Rush and McKenna Patterson, and she just went right down the line and did not even worry about those big hands in front of her.
Stilly getting a point there for St. John's.
Rastelli, even as a right side, coming into this game, ranked 2nd on the team in kills, right behind Alexicu. They definitely need her working and producing positive points during this match.
Camille Connor attempted a one-handed set there, but McKenna Patterson couldn't get to it, and just like that, St. John's keeps chipping away. The Aggies continue to hold on to the lead. Trayana Rush, first time we've seen the freshman swinging, and she goes down the line. And you talk about somebody who, when she first started this season to now, has improved so much.
We talked to Trayana Rush yesterday, and she said she has felt the physical progression, and they work on little things, but it's just such a repetitive process that it finally becomes muscle memory. And she said it's been really cool to feel herself getting better. I asked her if she feels like she's at her peak. She said, no way. I've got a ton of room to still grow.
Holland Hands goes down the line on the outside for the kill.
Well, this is just a beautiful swing by Holland Hands on the outside. Simple volleyball, go right down the line and just absolutely crushes it. The replay doesn't even do it justice, how fast and hard that ball is going down the line. Really good swing by Hands.
Passing error there, and McKenna Patterson, you're going to call that point Texas A&M. Yeah, Holland Hands, you watch that arm swing from her, and it's just so fast.
And I think we're going to have a challenge here by St. John's, because what the ref is saying is that ball went out of bounds after being touched by the St. John's player, by DeMalo, but it sure looked like to me that DeMalo tipped it off of McKenna Patterson's hands.
That's what I saw too, so we'll see if that's what the replay shows. So we are going to have a challenge. Joanna Persico holding up that green card. That indicates to the down official, who will go over to the monitor operated by a technician at the scorer's table and take a look at what she can see. This is what she's taking a look at. She has the same angles we do, the same video we do.
So my question was, if DeMalo is back row, would it be considered a back row attack because the ball went over the net? What they called is that the ball went off DeMalo and then out of bounds. St. John's is challenging that the ball went off of McKenna Patterson's hand and then out of bounds.
And it's hard to tell from that angle. It's got to be definitive. It's got to be inconclusive evidence to turn it around.
What I look at is McKenna Patterson's hand right there after the ball. You see that ball almost change directions, and that's an even better angle.
I think that's.
I think McKenna Patterson definitely touches it. My question is DeMatlo back row? Oh, and they are going to give it to St. John's. And now this is where, does Bird go over to the down official and ask about the back row attack? Now, DeMatlo did look like she may have stayed below the plane of the net.
I think Bird has just said, you know what, we're just going to move on.
And Camille Connor is over talking to the UP ref, asking that same question, but it does look like they are just going to move on with play.
And, you know, the calls made at the beginning kind of tell you how being a referee is a very subjective thing, and some of them call, unfortunately, different than others. And so, you know, in his view, it didn't look like a back row attack. She was setting the ball just on one leg. So that's going to be it. That's going to be pushed out by Triana Rush. So an error coming off that challenge for the Aggies.
That's why challenges are so important, especially if you believe that you were wronged with the call, because it is just 1 point. But look right there, instead of 15-10 Texas A&M, now you had 14-11 and then now 14-12 St. John's right back in this.
And McKenna Patterson hits that one long. So the Aggies, a couple of hitting errors there to follow the touch by McKenna Patterson. 1 point lead now for the Aggies as St. John's is chipping away. And not having to do a whole lot to chip away. It's all enforced errors by the Aggies right now. Pushed out to Holland Hands, who tips it over. Set was a little off the net. Rakele Rastili gets that kill for St. John's.
St. John's on a 4-0 run. You mentioned unforced errors. You know, Texas A&M still hitting .333 right now, but defensively unable to pick up that ball by Rastelli, and just a nice swing by the lefty on the right side.
Rush blocked right back on top of her and couldn't come up with it. And St. John's now has their first lead of this match. And Bird Kuhn is going to call a timeout for Texas A&M. And they're going to sit down and talk about what has gone wrong over the last 2 points for the Aggies.
Well, a couple of unforced errors by Texas A&M, and then a couple of really great plays by St. John's. You got to give them credit. The nice kill by Rastelli, and then the big block right there against Triana Rush. That block actually might have gone out of bounds, Casey, but right then it goes off of Rush because she was so close to the ball. So just a really good block there.
Mentioned St. John's. They're only their second ever Big East tournament championship. In the tournament is when they peaked, and if you talk about peaking at the right time, they picked the right time to do it.
Yeah, they were 1-7 versus ranked opponents before the tournament. In the semifinals, they were able to sweep 10th ranked Creighton, and then they were able to defeat 12th ranked Marquette in the championship game. I mean, this was just, I think it surprised the whole country that they came out and won the Big East tournament like that. It's their first conference title in 12 years, and when I talked to Coach Persico before the match, she said, we knew what we had to do. We went and did it, and now we start a new season. Postseason is almost like a new season to them. This is their chance. They know they've got to take it 1 point at a time. They've got to, ride the high from the tournament, but at the same time, you've got to focus on what's ahead of you.
Well, and there's so much respect for the Big East that all three teams, Marquette, Creighton, and St. John's, of course, made the NCAA tournament. St. John's getting the automatic bid after winning that tournament. The Aggies, meanwhile, finished third in the SEC this season.
Which they were picked to finish sixth.
Yes.
So when you take a look at what they were able to do and, what other teams and coaches thought they would do coming into the season, a very, very good season for Texas A&M in the SEC.
And the coaches rewarded Bird Kuhn with the Coach of the Year award for just that effort. See if they can put in more effort here after that timeout. Block dug up by Patterson. Taylor Voss almost punches this one over. Just doesn't quite have enough oomph behind it.
Well, Texas A&M's block is getting in the right position. They're just not forcing the block over enough, and they're just going to call a quick timeout. Or not timeout, excuse me, but just time on the court to wipe up some sweat. But you can see Texas A&M's block. They're getting touches. Balls are just going through the hands of McKenna Patterson and Triana Rush and Holland Hands. So just really closing off that net, getting that block in place in time. It's going to be key for Texas A&M right here.
So Lexicu serves it up. Camila Gomez takes it for the Aggies. Out to Hands, cross court, right in that back corner for the kill, her third of this match.
Holland Hands is so good because when Texas A&M needs a point, they need a side out. They know who they can go to. And even though she has the ability to hit the 10-foot line, see how deep that ball was? That becomes so hard to defend because everybody is sucked up on you. It's a great spot for Hands.
Block out of bounds, though. The Aggies, though, there, Talbert and Holland Hands were there for that block.
So again, Texas A&M's block getting in position. They're getting there. They're putting their hands up. They're just not forcing that ball back into the court onto St. John's side.
Back to Hands. Going to be another kill for the senior. 4 for her now. And just like that, the Aggies are right back, only 1 point down. Lots of matches going on right now in the first round of the NCAA championship. We'll update you when we get some scores in here. Mentioned earlier that Rice did defeat Oklahoma in the match previous to this one here in College Station. So the Owls await the winner of this match. They are in the crowd watching this one. Voss runs that one down. Free ball coming now for St. John's. They go out to Mike Lova, who uses those hands of Camille Connor to get the kill.
And that was such a fast set by Damalo. They took advantage of the free ball. Damalo just shot that ball out to Mike Lova. It wasn't necessarily pretty, but it got out there fast enough that she was able to take advantage of the soft block on the outside for Texas A&M.
Holland Hands out of the back row, and you mentioned it earlier, Chelsea. In system, out of system, it doesn't matter to her.
She can take a ball that is, completely off the 10-foot line. She's in the back row. She is in the back row taking that approach, and she is still able to come away with a kill. What she can do with out-of-system balls is just incredible.
She missed her first serve, not that one. Nothing but air goes by St. John's on that serve from Holland Hands.
Well, service aces is one of the categories that Holland Hands leads this team. Actually led the SEC in service aces this year. She has been so dangerous behind the line.
It's going to be a point for St. John's. Maria Angelica Palacios comes in.
And that is so important. When Hands gets into a rhythm behind the service line, you have got to find any way to break her serve, because when she's in rhythm, she doesn't miss very often.
There's a big swing from Mallory Talbert. We don't usually see that. And we've been able to watch Mallory Talbert here this season. That's a hard swing for her.
I mentioned she had a really great game against Florida, and she's just kind of riding that momentum. She just crushes that ball down the line. Give Camille Connor credit.
Yes.
That was an absolutely gem of a set, and it set up Talbert just perfectly.
Palacios misses on that one. A fellow Columbia native of Camila Gomez, who goes back to serve now for the Aggies.
Actually, both of them playing at Miami-Dade College. That's where Gomez transferred into Texas A&M, transferred from Miami-Dade on the Palacios.
Patterson up once and up twice for the kill on the overpass.
And Patterson doesn't have to hit the ball hard. She's just got to see it and pop it straight back down. She does a nice job of contesting that block right there and then staying up, staying aware, and putting that ball down for the point.
Well, that's going to prompt St. John's to call their second time out of this set, down by 2. A&M up into the 20s. A&M, we mentioned they finished third in the SEC after being picked to finish 6th. And when you look at their record at home, Chelsea, that to me really stands out in what they've been able to do this year.
12-1 here at Reed Arena, and that only lost, Casey, a 5-set thriller to Florida at the time, a game that Texas A&M probably should have won. They were up 9-3 in the 5th set, ended up losing to Florida, but that is the only loss at home this year. The Aggies have been so good, best home record since 2001. that is what earned them this host spot, is just, being incredible here at home in front of the 12th man, and obviously getting it done on the road as well.
Well, they've been in many NCAA tournaments. This is their 25th overall appearance in the NCAA championship, Division I volleyball championship.
We talked about the 12th man. It's kind of what Texas A&M calls their home crowd, and a lot of people here tonight for this Thursday night match out to support. Oklahoma and Rice, we mentioned, played before this. They both brought in great crowds. Obviously, St. John's a little bit further away. Not as much red in the stands as there is maroon, but a really great crowd tonight on hand for this first round.
Well, they hadn't been able to be present in an NCAA tournament championship game for volleyball here since 2015, so the community has turned out here, especially the students. Good to see, considering finals are just around the corner here in College Station. Camila Gomez now back to serve out of that timeout. The Aggies 4 points away from closing out this first set. Lexicu dug up by Gomez. Connor runs that down. Davis way at a strange angle and very hard to get that one in front of the antenna from where she was.
That was a great dig by Gomez and a great rundown by Connor. Lauren Davis just has to try to keep that ball inside. She tried to be a little bit too perfect, go down the line, keep that ball in play, let your defense work. But still not a bad idea by the freshman. Just got to keep it in play.
Floater serve by Sanabia eats up Holland hands, but she comes back with a big swing on the other side. Great defense by St. John's. They have a net violation there by Texas A&M. McKenna Patterson got a piece of the net there on the block.
You mentioned it. Great job by St. John's to stay in that rally. There were a lot of chances for Texas A&M to put that ball away. St. John's played good defense, and then the unforced net violation by Texas A&M gives the Red Storm the point.
No problem with that serve, but the block for St. John's absolutely rejects Lauren Davis right there.
Nice job by DeMalo. We mentioned her at the beginning of the broadcast as an impact player, the setter, getting it done defensively at the net with the big block.
Texas A&M now calls their second timeout as Bird Kuhn doesn't like what she's seeing from her Aggies coming out of that last timeout. St. John's now goes up by 1, 22-21.
Well, a quick 3-0 run right there by the Red Storm, and just goes to show what momentum can do out of a timeout, how much it can change. St. John's answering back, getting a few points, rallying it off, and Texas A&M wants to talk about it.
We talked about A&M's history in terms of this season and overall, and this is the second time that St. John's has been in after winning the Big East tournament. This is only their third NCAA tournament appearance.
Again, we just talked about the road to that tournament championship. They had to go against two teams, both Creighton and Marquette, who, Casey, they lost to twice already this season, and then they were able to come into the tournament and sweep Creighton and then beat Marquette in 4. Just an incredible story for them, and they really want to see their season continue.
We mentioned it that the person who started the program, Duran Persico, is still the coach there right now. 26 seasons that she's been there at St. John's running this volleyball program.
And I asked her what it was like to go up against a coach like Bird, who is now only in her second season as a head coach. And she said, you know what the coolest thing was, walking into the coaches meeting for this regional and seeing 3 other female head coaches. Yeah, you've got Jenny Volpe at Rice, and then you've also got Lindsey Gray Walton at Oklahoma, who were in this regional. And she said, back when I started coaching, it wasn't necessarily a cool thing for females to be the tomboy and to want to be playing sports and to be involved. And she said, so to walk in and to see 3 other female head coaches, that was a really cool moment for her.
Bill Connor goes up on the second ball, and that's going to get the Aggies back tied here in the first set, all knotted up at 22.
That's when Connor, she's just so good at making those decisions. Here's a player who has started every set of her career, and so now as a junior, she's got more playing experience than a lot of seniors do at this level, and you can just see in her decision-making how much she has grown since her freshman year.
Alexikou blocked by Rush, but it goes out. And Rush is not going to let up. Neither is Alexikou. That matchup, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the rest of this match brings.
I am too. That ball went straight down, and Rush just has to turn that outside hand in a little bit more, and she's got that block. But a nice job by Alexikou getting the tool and the point.
back row to Holland Hands, dug up by Sanabia. Great dig by her, and then Alexikou uses that amazing dig and gets a kill. Set point now for St. John's.
As you mentioned, beautiful dig there by Sanabia. She holds the second spot in the program's all-time digs list. So a very, very good defensive player for St. John's. And when you're a libero or a defensive specialist and you make a great dig like that, you want that kill just as much as your hitter does because you kept the ball off the floor so you could see the emotion come from her when Alexikou got that roll shot kill.
Well, it's still going to be set point, but that was a serving error there by St. John's as Taylor Voss now comes in to serve for the Aggies. Erica DeMalo, the senior setter for St. John's. The Aggies have to get this point or this set goes to the visitors. Popped up by Rush. Connor out to Holland Hands and uses the block. We are tied up at 24 here in this first set. We thought we'd see a close match, and we're getting it.
Even when you know it's going to Holland Hands, even when you have a block up in front of her, she somehow still gets the point. And that is why she is so clutch and so good at what she does.
All SEC this season, along with the setter Camille Connor. Got to win by 2, so this is not set point. Another block, and that's Holland Hands. She can do it on both sides, her and McKenna Patterson teaming up for that one.
Great job by the Aggies to not give up. St. John's looking at 2 set points, and now all of a sudden Texas A&M with a set point of their own.
And Voss continues to serve for the Aggies. Alexikou dug up by Voss. Gonna have net though called on the Aggies.
Yeah, it was gonna be Treyana Rush, and I think she just got a little anxious. She wanted that block so bad, and sometimes when you try to block too much, too aggressively, that's when you end up in the net. It was a great dig by Taylor Voss to keep that ball off the floor. If you're A&M and if you're St. John's, you gotta stay out of the net when you're up there.
Alexikou goes back to serve now. Dug up by Sanabia. Mishit there by St. John's. Another set point coming now for A&M, up 26-25.
Yeah, you could hear the mishit. You could kind of hear the sound off Michaelova. That ball just way too flat. Didn't get a great swing on it. So let's see if Texas A&M can take advantage of that miscue by St. John's.
St. John's going back to Michaelova, and Treyana Rush gets the block for the Aggies, and they take the first set 27-25.
And that is a great way for Rush to redeem herself after getting into the net on a couple of plays before that. Gets up there, gets the stuff. Texas A&M gets the win in a close one.
Well, between breaks here, between sets, we're going to take a quick time out here as you see Rush closing it out for the Aggies. They win the first one 27-25. We'll be back to Reed Arena, A&M University, where the Aggies have won the first set. It was a nail-biter, 27-25, and there you're taking a look at Bird Coon. And there is a great crowd on hand tonight, and the Aggies were really looking forward to playing these first, hopefully, 2 matches here in front of their home crowd.
But it is special, and it means a lot. I've told them multiple times, I'm so proud. Like, anything that has been accomplished is because of the group of people that have bought in. And it's everyone. Everyone has a hand in that. And to me, it just makes me more proud of the team, the staff, the program, A&M. And when, like she was talking about playing in front of the 12th man, we're representing the 12th man. So to be able to do that here with them watching us live is huge.
They have turned out tonight to root on their Aggies.
And I loved what she said about it's not just about playing in front of the 12th man. We are representing the 12th man. We are Texas A&M, and we are playing for them. So to get to do that in front of them, in front of their crowd at home, you've got to hope that a team who's hosting truly believes in that and feels that and understands that this is such a big deal to have that home court advantage and to get to play in front of your fans and bring them bonus volleyball.
Well, you get so much energy from the crowd when it's on in any sport. It's so much fun. It's one of those great moments when your crowd is behind you. The Aggies coming off a first set victory, will try to do the same in set 2. That goes off the block, though, for St. John's.
And Rastelli with her 5th kill on the night. Right side trying to get a little bit more active. She was really active at the beginning of the first set and then kind of quieted down.
Yoshioko comes in to serve. Sheena Yoshioko out of Honolulu. Holland Hands finds the big open spot right in the middle of the court.
And going back to that home court advantage, you look at just that last set there, Casey, where St. John's had 2 set points, and then Texas A&M was able to come back tied up. Then St. John's was back ahead, and then Texas A&M. When you're playing at home, you've got to feel like that helped Texas A&M in that set right there.
Dug up by Patterson, the middle, getting some defense in on this one. Blocked and a point for Texas A&M. And you can bet McKenna Patterson is very proud of that defense she just played.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime that you're a middle and you get the call to go back and serve and you've got to play defense, when you can get a dig or an assist or do something positive back there, it's always a good feeling.
She's going to get an ace almost right there. Yeah, it will be an ace for her.
And she really is one of the better servers on this Texas A&M team. She's consistent. She serves, just as a standing serve, but she's got some movement on it and does a really nice job.
Mentioned Patterson graduating early. Still classified as a junior. Just blocked that one. DeMalo goes middle that time. Rush off the block for the point. Texas A&M.
You mentioned Patterson leaving early. She graduates in December and then decided she's going to continue her career overseas. Great swing right there by the freshman, who's going to have to step up next year even more so with Patterson gone.
Asili uses the A&M block to get the kill.
And that's big right there for St. John's. Texas A&M was getting into that rhythm. They were up by 3, just like the first set began as well. Remember that really early timeout that St. John's called in the first set? It was 4-1. This time, Coach Persico let them play through and see if they could get out of it themselves, and they were able to do that.
Rush off the block. Point Texas A&M. So both teams using that block to their advantage.
Triana Rush named SEC All-Freshman Team along with teammate Lauren Davis. Both have been really good for the Aggies. But, it hasn't been necessarily just a straight uphill climb for Triana Rush. I mean, she's had to battle some roller coasters this year, but she's done a really nice job as of late.
Big push there by DeMalo to really push that ball to the outside.
The strength of Erica DeMalo, watching right here courtside and to see her all the way on the other side of the court, the way she can get that ball to the outside is so impressive because it is not easy to set a ball that far and that accurately.
Michaelova got the kill previous to that one. That one, though, goes to the Aggies. They are up 6-3 now.
And when Mallory Talbert can be as efficient as she has been tonight, that's huge for Texas A&M because you know that McKenna Patterson is going to do a pretty good job at producing when she's in the front row. But when she's in the back row off the court, you've got to be able to still do something in that middle front position. And so when Mallory Talbert can come in and get you some productive points, that's huge for the Aggies.
Service error by Holland Hands closes the lead to 2. Sanabia stands back pretty deep to serve. Lauren Davis, the freshman. Sanabia dug that up. There's Alexiou into the net. So hitting error there by the Red Storm.
Alexiou just a little bit off the net on that one and tried to take just almost too big of a swing. She was off balance. Even when she landed, she was kind of falling backwards. So it's not a great swing right there by the sophomore, but has still been very good on the night. She's got 8 kills. There she goes, making up for it, a little bit of redemption there. Another net violation called on Texas A&M, and that's something that they're going to have to work on. Those gimme points just can't happen, especially in postseason.
third or fourth one of this match so far.
Still a nice swing down the line by Alexikou. Basham unable to get the dig up on that one.
Davis, high off the hands. Net call this time on St. John's is number 19. Catherine in the net. That time. Bad pass on serve receive is going to be an ace for Texas A&M, and just like that, their lead is back to 4.
Damala did everything.
So St. John's wants to talk about it quickly before it gets too far out of hand. We'll be back in College Station. St. John's wanted a timeout after that. Last point by the Aggies. O'Connor goes back to serve now for Texas A&M.
Courtside guys at every home game for Texas A&M cheering on the volleyball team.
Rejected by the Aggies, pop back up by St. John's, and the point continues. Another pop back up off a block. Damala with a kind of a one-handed set there. McKenna Patterson, you mentioned it. She doesn't kill the ball. It's all about placement.
And she gets in the air so fast. So when she does that, she is taking the ball out of Camille Connor's hands. You see how the block didn't even affect her. She was actually able to kind of go up and over the block into that middle back spot. She tries to hit that ball straight down, she is going to go right into the heart of the block. And so because she gets up so quickly, it allows her to really go wherever she wants to with the ball.
Off the net, big dig there by Holland Hands. Camila Gomez sends it sky high to Rush, who almost finds that back line.
That was a great play all around. Great dig by Holland Hands. A nice job by Camila Gomez to bump set that ball all the way to the right side, and a good swing by Rush, but the freshman just put a little bit too much on it, hit it a little bit too flat. Nice job by St. John's of watching that ball go out because it was close.
We're going to call it a double hit on that one. You almost had to on that one. Haven't had any double hits so far in this match.
Oh, not an ace, but Alexikou with an aggressive serve right there. And again, St. John's out-serving, I guess you could say, Texas A&M coming to this match. They did have more aces on the year.
Brianna Rush really didn't hit that one near like she wanted to, I don't believe.
You know, and sometimes after a hitting error, you take a little bit off. You try to just keep the ball in play. That one, she goes right into the heart of the block. And St. John's doing a nice job of getting back into this set.
Alexikou still serving. Cut the lead to 2 now for A&M. Lauren Davis, though, gets it back to 3. And that's a good way. We talk about using the hands a lot to misdirect or to take something off of it, using those hands to get the point.
Now, where Holland Hands brings power and speed, Lauren Davis brings a lot of technique and just a lot of finesse. She goes right off the hands of Rastelli, but is able to use the block and get the kill. Nice job by the freshman.
Bill Connor took that one uncomfortably to the face, I do believe. I was blocked a little bit from it, but you can tell it hit her pretty hard.
Well, Damalo, again, so much skill to get that ball all the way to the outside, and then Rastelli just absolutely unloads on that ball. Connor unable to get her hands up, not even attempted to get her hands up, just had to try to turn, ends up taking the ball on the side of the head. Looks like she's okay. We'll see if A&M can kind of bounce back.
Props to her. That was a tough ball to take to the head like that, and now it's 1-point lead here for the Aggies. St. John's and Sheena Yoshikawa. Back to serve. Yoshioka, I should say. There's McKenna Patterson. Once again, you talked about it. She's already in the air before the block can even get set.
You know, and you have to with that quick middle run, but credit to Camille Connor. You know, a little shaken up after getting in the head on that couple plays previously, and then to be able to set back to Patterson. Taking a look, it does look a little red on the side of her neck right there and the side of her cheek, but she's staying strong. She's staying in there. She knows that she's an important part of this team, and she's got to keep playing hard.
That's off the block for the Aggies, or for St. John's, I should say. The Red Storm just hanging in there. Rosilli serves. We mentioned the international roster for St. John's. She's out of Parma, Italy. Big swing there, Holland hands. 8th kill of this match for the senior.
The athleticism and just the ability to pass that ball, get to the outside, and then goes right through the split. I know the split looked like it was there. I think even if it was closed, Holland Hands was up and above. And to go into that middle back position, there's no one there. Great swing.
She's hitting .533 right now. Really good numbers for her. Nice placement on that ball by St. John's to get that point right back.
Yeah, St. John's is not phased at all. When Holland Hands gets a big hit, they know she's going to do that. They know she's going to swing well tonight. They know that she's going to get some points. Their focus is the next point. What can we do to get the next point?
An ace courtesy of the net there from Mikulova.
She even looked a little surprised, put her hands up to her face, and almost didn't even get too excited about that one.
Yeah, you take them when you can get them.
Oh, absolutely. Use the net if you can.
Hans almost used the net there to her advantage, but it came right back down on Texas A&M side.
Yeah, that was all block right there. Damalo with a great job of setting the block on the outside and then letting Palacios come over, and Damalo showing a lot of excitement, a lot of energy right now, trying to lead this team to a second set win to tie things up.
The Aggies hitting .326 in this match, 400 in this set right now. That's going to go down, and great placement on that ball by Camille Connor.
And Camille Connor goes through phases. Sometimes she's very offensive. Other nights she doesn't really have to be. What a great spot by the junior. That is not easy to do, to understand where the hole is and then to be able to execute and put it back there. She knew she had to have enough strength to get it into the deep part of the court, but obviously you want to keep the ball in. Really, really nice play there by Camille Connor.
Holland Hands struggled a little bit tonight from behind the service line, but that one goes over, and then Camille Connor goes up again. You mentioned some nights she's offensive. This is one of those nights.
Well, and you know, you get the dump or the deep tip, and that works. And when she has a perfect pass like that one, she's left-handed. She takes advantage of it, and she is able to swing just as hard as any front row player, especially from that position. Nice job there by Connor, her 3rd kill of the night.
Hands misses that one into the net, ties this one back up at 15. Again, we thought, looking at it on paper, these two teams lined up pretty evenly when you look at them, and that's what we're seeing here.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth, a lot of answering back to points scored, and even when a team has gone on a run, the other team has done a nice job of chipping back and getting back into the set.
In the first set, there was 8 ties and 4 lead changes. So you get a double hit call on A&M. That pass was a little low, tried to push it up, couldn't quite do it. Mentioned A&M's hitting earlier. They're hitting .471 in this set. They're holding St. John's, meanwhile, to .278, yet St. John's is still in the lead by 1. Lauren Davis, and kind of had to tip that one.
And when we talked to Bird at the beginning of the season, the very beginning of the season, she's got this freshman, Lauren Davis, and we asked her, what makes her special? She said, it's her volleyball IQ. Even as a freshman, she is one of the best volleyball IQs. And what I mean by that is she's a smart player. She knows where the open shots are. She doesn't just try to swing away every time. And that was a great example of doing just that.
Camila Gomez was called for being across the line on that one.
She dove
for the ball.
And dove. but the rule typically is
Yeah.
a foot has to be over the line.
Her whole hand and arm came across.
I would say half of her body was across. She was pretty far underneath.
They're going to continue.
And I think that's what the explanation was, is maybe had it have been, the hand, but her head was under the net.
She slid under.
Yeah.
It's a safety thing. They want to prevent that from
Absolutely.
happening, and you can't blame them. That's a nice shot to come back with for the Aggies. And St. John's, you feel like this match has slowed down a little bit, Chelsea, just in terms of, I don't know, it just seems like we're going back and forth, point for point.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely kind of like a ping pong match. You're going back and forth, back and forth. Each team is doing a great job of answering the other team's points. And
Blocked by the Aggies. Sanabia runs that one down. Great hustle by her. The Aggies with a free ball chance here. Kenna Patterson tips it over. Brianna Rush rejects that one. Davis off the block. Alexikou blocked, and nobody there for St. John's. And that was definitely one of the longer rallies we've had so far in this match.
Well, St. John's had been doing such a good job of covering their hitters, some great rundowns by Sanabia and the other defenders, but this time everybody just kind of looks at it. Mike Lova goes for it at the last second, but ultimately it ends up being a block for Texas A&M.
Timeout St. John's. They don't want to see Texas A&M get too far ahead and see this second set get away from them too far. We talked about Erica DeMalo before this match started as an impact player, but you also have to talk about Camille Connor and what she's done for the Aggies this season.
Yeah, and what I love about both of these setters, Erica DeMalo has started almost every match of her career. Camille Connor has started every set of her career, and I'm sure going into her senior year will continue that. And then taking a look at the impact players, we talked about DeMarco beforehand, what she's done tonight. She has been excellent. And then, of course, Camille Connor has had Holland hands to dish that ball out to.
Hands with 9 kills, hitting .471. Camille Connor, 24 assists so far here tonight. Compare that to Erica DeMalo, who has 21 kills. Alexikou for St. John's also has 9 kills, but she's hitting .318. So overall, when you look at these hitting percentages, it's amazing that St. John's has hung in there as much as they have, considering that the Aggies are out hitting them by almost a full point.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, 476 in a set, that is an incredible number for a team, and 365 for the match for Texas A&M. And if you were to say, well, they only won the first set by 2 and they're only ahead by 1 right now against St. John's, you would, yeah. And so to see the numbers, I mean, if you're Texas A&M, you're almost going, what else do I have to do? And if you're St. John's, you got to be incredibly happy that you are this close. But that's just the fight and the grit you can see that St. John's has had in their post-regular season, their Big East tournament appearance, and then coming in now until the NCAA tournament.
Connor goes back to serve now for the Aggies. Out of that timeout by St. John's. Vasili, a big swing from the lefty on the opposite side. Gets the point for the Red Storm.
This was an interesting run by Rastelli. As the lefty, she comes around the backside. So normally that's a slide run for a right-handed hitter. She kind of does the opposite as the lefty, but it still works out.
McKenna Patterson this time. St. John's is ready for it. Another one-handed set by DeMalo. Rush goes over the block. Lots of good ups there, but nobody could follow through on that third ball to get it over the net.
Well, I know we're only in the second set, Casey, but you've got to think that stamina and energy is going to, and fatigue is going to come into play. Long points, long rallies. I mean, it has just been a battle back and forth, and you can see a little bit of it already.
20-18, both of these teams more than 20 wins on the season. The Aggies 21 wins. St. John's 22. They finished almost identically in their conference runs. The Aggies 13-5. St. John's 12-6. I just can't get over how equally matched on paper they really are. That's going to be out down the line. So another point for Texas A&M. St. John's has no more timeouts left, so they can't stop an Aggie run here unless they get the ball back.
It's a big swing by Rastelli, but you've got to keep that ball in play, especially at this point in the set when Texas A&M has 20 or more points.
Voss serving for the Aggies. Nice dig by Camille Connor, and Holland Hands comes off the bunt pass by Camila Gomez and gets a kill, another out-of-system kill for her.
Well, you said it, Casey. This was a beautiful dig by the setter, Camille Connor. Sometimes setters get a little bit of flack for not being the best defenders, but check out that up, and then Camila Gomez getting it to Holland Hands. And as I mentioned, out-of-system balls, no problem. Watch Holland Hands. That's her bread and butter.
DeMalo pushes at it to the outside, and a hitting error by Mikulova, and it's point Texas A&M. They're only 2 points away now from closing it out. If St. John's is going to go, they're going to have to go right now.
Yeah, they've got to get a side out right here and stop this momentum that Texas A&M has.
And that's it. That's what they needed right at that moment. They needed a point. They got it. Still 2 points away, though. They need more than that. Shina Yoshioka comes in to serve as you see Erica DeMalo, the setter for the Red Storm. 23 assists now for her. 3 digs, couple blocks. That's going to go off the block. Brianna Rush gets her 5th kill of this match.
Reigning SEC Freshman of the Week after their games against South Carolina and Florida.
The Aggies now at set point here, looking to go up 2-0 in this best of 5. Best 3 out of 5, I should say. What a set. I love watching Erica DeMalo set that ball. I mean, she just makes it look so effortless.
Yeah, I don't think her hitter's mine.
No. You don't know where she's going.
And as a hitter, you have to be ready.
Yeah, you don't know where she's going.
And a lot of times you may be, she's all the way across the court. It doesn't matter.
Nope.
You've got to be ready because that ball could be coming to you.
It's still going to be set point for the Aggies. Hands comes way in, and she gets stuffed blocked there by Maria Angelico Palacios.
Well, that's what happens when you hit the ball as hard as Holland Hands does, especially when you're coming in. It's a little bit easier to read for a blocker. They know exactly where she's going. You still got to execute, and St. John's did just that.
Hands blocked again, this time dug up. Back to Rush, who finds the point. And that's going to be the set for the Aggies, now up 2-0.
Well, it was right there towards the end of the set, Casey. Texas A&M went on that run. St. John's couldn't stop the momentum. They just got too far behind, and A&M was able to close it out.
25-21 is the final at set number 2. The Aggies looking to close out the match here from College Station right after this. Back inside Reed Arena is the Aggies. 1 set 1 and 2 of this match here against St. John's. Chelsea, we predicted a close match. Are we getting what we thought we'd get?
Absolutely, and I think looking at the hitting percentage is really what has given A&M the advantage. 356 in the match to 217 to St. John's, and a big part of that is the senior outside hitter, Holland Hands, for Texas A&M. She has 10 kills on the night. Casey, this is her 89th match of her career that she has tallied 10 or more kills, and she's done it in really, really snazzy ways. She's done it by taking it off the block, front row, back row, all the way from across the court, a ball that doesn't even look like it's hittable, and she's able to turn it into something productive and efficient for Texas A&M. The senior has already had a special night, and she still has at least one more set left.
St. John's, meanwhile, has got to feel a little down, but not out yet as they go to serve to start the 3rd set. Alexikou off the block, dug up by Connor. Rush for the block for the Aggies, and the freshman starts it off the way she ended the last set for Texas A&M.
Yeah, Triana Rush, she struggled a little bit with her block at the beginning of this match. We saw a couple of good blocks, but they went out of bounds, and so it ended up being a point for St. John's. And then we saw a couple of net violations as well. She's finally gotten into her rhythm, and she's getting it right now.
She punches that one over. Free ball coming now for the Aggies. Mallory Talbert has to reach for that one. That was just, I'm just going to hit this ball really hard and see what happens kind of swing there.
That whole play was a little messy, and I think everyone was just trying to figure out how to end it quickly. And Alexikou finally took advantage. She did. It was almost like a running, jumping, I don't really know what it was. But, hey, it worked, and St. John's was able to get the point, and now they've got to look to clean things up.
One-legged swing from the outside as hard as you can. That's going to be an ace, and just like that, St. John's up 2-1.
In case you mentioned, St. John's might be down a little bit right now, but they've got to believe that they just need to take it one set at a time. That's the beauty of volleyball. Yes, it's who wins the match, but you've got to win it set by set, and they still have 3 sets to work with if they can start winning these.
And another big swing dug up by Michaelova. St. John's keeps it going. Alexikou blocked, dug up by the Aggies, and Holland Hands comes in from the outside to the middle to get that point for Texas A&M.
And I love the awareness by Holland Hands of seeing that ball up close to the net. Instead of trying to set it up to someone else, hey, I'm just going to take it on too. And I give credit to Kathariou, who was still up and attempted to block that ball because Holland Hands kind of came out of nowhere. But for her to able to get that off and get the point, 11th kill on the night, nice job by the senior.
Basham serves it up for the Aggies. Miss hit there on the right side for the Johnnies.
Yeah, Kathariou just not putting enough oomph onto that tip. Didn't quite clear the net.
That was very similar to that first one we saw from Alexikou to start this set off. That one, though, she really got under.
Well, and I understand being aggressive, but you've got to stay in control of your body.
So it's frustrating.
Yeah, and you've got to stay in control. You've got to stay within yourself. On that one, she just kind of wailed on it, and she may have gotten lucky and tried to get a tip off the block, but she didn't.
Point there by St. John's. Another push across the court there by Damalo.
And Alexikou getting the point on that one. Carly Basham for Texas A&M has got to read that. She's way off the net. You can see her arm swing. You've got to see that she can't do much with that and that she's probably going to tip it. Basham just a little bit late trying to get to that ball.
Hands off the net, dug up by Miklova. Back and forth and a lot of tips and dinks off that one, but the Aggies come up with it.
And what a dig by Taylor Voss. Check this out. Diving and getting into the corner, and then Holland Hands and Mallory Talbert both going up, getting that ball. I love talking to Taylor Voss at the beginning of the season. She said Camila Gomez has taught her so much about what it means to just let your body go. Just go for the ball, dive without any hesitation.
And Camille Connor just got a little bit of revenge.
She answered back.
Yeah, I think there. It didn't hit her in the face. It got her in the shoulder, but that's taken out a little of aggression.
Camille Connor with the swing gets it right off the shoulder, but you're right, Casey. After getting hit in the face earlier, Camille Connor with some redemption.
St. John wants a timeout. We're going to take it with them. We'll be back to Reed Arena. Volleyball here this evening as their home team is up by 3. Up 2-0 here in the third set. Is out of that timeout. Holland Hands, get your serve in. Alexikou, frustration coming out on that swing from the sophomore.
Yeah, she's been struggling just a little bit. That time, though, getting a great set to the outside and just taking advantage of it and getting a good swing.
She's got 12 kills now in this match, hitting 250, compared to Holland Hands, who has 12 kills, hitting 400. She goes back to serve now, does Alexikou. Looks like Mallory Talbert was a little unsure about that ball at first, but kind of ended up getting the kill.
Yeah, Talbert actually just had to make an adjustment. I don't think the set from Connor was as far out. You can see how she had to stop and come back in, but what an adjustment by Talbert. That is not easy to do when you were already on the run. Not only does she make the adjustment, she gets the kill.
Patterson off the slide. Davis for the kill for Texas A&M.
Lauren Davis has been a little bit quiet tonight, but the freshman has been coming up clutch just at the right time. Beautiful cross-court shot right here by Lauren Davis and just getting the job done.
Klova dug by Holland Hands. Back row attack now for Hands, too low, tips it over. Steely. Gomez there for the Aggies. Carly Basham, good play by her to get her hands on it, just dug it the wrong direction.
I love the effort by both teams. I mean, if this doesn't look like postseason volleyball, I don't know what does. Both teams just giving it their all on defense. The hitters are swinging away. I mean, you are just seeing a ton of effort out on the volleyball court right now.
Lauren Davis uses those hands to get the point.
Lauren Davis, only a freshman. Her older sister, Morgan, a junior on the Texas A&M team, and she was asked yesterday what it feels like to be going into the postseason and to get to experience something like this with her sister. And she said, Morgan has been such a shoulder to lean on throughout my whole college experience so far, and it's just been an awesome ride this season. And to have her sister here on the team has just been an extra special bonus.
I think it's really, must be fun to have your sister there. My sister is so much older than I was, so we didn't get a chance to ever play or do anything like that. And I think that would have been good. My kids are close together, and I'm hopeful that they will be able to do some activities together.
Well, especially coming from Florida, they're both from, they're both from Florida,
obviously.
And so when you're coming to a school out of state, and there's a lot of other Texans on the team, not many other out-of-staters. It's nice to have a little piece of home.
Nice up by Holland Hands right there to keep this point going. Can't get that one, though. Nice use of the block for the Red Storm to close the gap to 2.
Talk about coming far from home. We showed it earlier, just how far away some of the players for St. John's have traveled to get to New York.
So many from international. I mean, Czech Republic, you got a couple from there, 2 from Italy, Serbia, Greece. It's really an international who's who on this list for them, on this roster of where they're from. Miss hit there by Miklova. One of the juniors from Kurum, Czech Republic. Transfer from Lindsey Wilson College.
St. John.
Go ahead.
St. John's, I was just going to mention a very pin-heavy team. We have not seen a ton of action from the middles. The middles have done a good job blocking, but we haven't seen a lot of offense. And when you're pin-heavy, you've got to be able to produce on the outside.
Their outsides are taking the majority of the swings. Same for the Aggies. And, I mean, her arm moved so fast right there, I didn't even see it. About that for a kill.
Well, you look at a lot of Division I outside hitters, and they're 6'3", 6'4". Here's Holland Hands at 6'1", but her ability to get up in the air, and as fast as her arm swing is, she creates just as much power as some of those taller outside hitters do.
Got to give Camila Gomez props for the up, too, on that one. That was a great dig by her, and that's an ace for Taylor Voss for the Aggies as they now go up by 5. Timeout St. John's. They're not going to waste any time. This is their second timeout of this set. So we mentioned the international roster. We're going to take a look at where they're all from. I mentioned Greece, Italy, Czech Republic, Serbia, Japan. They get a lot of miles traveled.
I mean, you have more players on your team from other countries than from the United States. And I guess when you talk about recruiting tools, when you're in New York, that's a fun place to go. That's a fun place to live. There is a Texan on the team. We talked to Kaylee Wood, actually a couple of Texans on the team, but Kaylee Wood we talked to yesterday, and we asked her what it was like to be able to come home. She said it's great. My dad can drive the hour and 15 minutes to come see us play instead of having to make the flight. But it's also got to be reassuring when you're one of those players coming from another country that there are going to be other international players at the school, and that you're all going to be kind of just learning about each other's cultures. And it's got to be a lot of fun for the kids from the United States as well to see other people and learn how to be with other people from all over the world.
Camila Gomez bringing the international flair to the Aggies. She's now 5th in program history in digs with 420 in her lone season as an Aggie. Don't you know that Bird and the rest of the staff and players wish that she had at least one more year to give?
Oh, absolutely. Gomez with this surpasses Megan Pendergast, if that name sounds familiar. She got into that leaderboard in 2011. She is now an assistant coach at UCLA. But Camila Gomez, you mentioned it, I was so excited to see her play this season. But yeah, she's going to be a tough loss for Texas A&M next year. But they have definitely taken advantage of the one season they've had with her.
Holland Hands took advantage of a great dig by Gomez a few moments ago as the Aggies go up by 5 before that St. John's timeout. That's their final timeout of this set, so at 12-7. That's all they got. They're going to have to use play. Back to Hands, another hard hit ball. 14th kill of this match for the senior.
You mentioned St. John's taking both of their timeouts already, and then Texas A&M immediately coming out and getting the point. Timeouts are not something that Bird likes to use very often. I mean, she'll really let them play through some struggles, and we've just seen the complete opposite from St. John's.
Another big block. That looked like McKenna Patterson got the majority of that one for the Aggies.
You know, and anytime a middle is able to get over there, you've got to give the outside, the pin hitter, credit. They set the block, and then you've got the middle who gets over there and is able to close it. But a nice job there by Rush and Patterson.
Rush. Couldn't tell at first who got the majority of that one, but it did look like Rush was there as
You're
well.
both up in the air. You both get
it's
credit.
Hard to tell.
Texas A&M, they've been so good at blocking all season. Now they're out blocking St. John's 7 to 5.5, and it's another kind of big reason right now that Texas A&M is up 2-0 and up in this set.
St. John's trying to use that middle you talked about, being pin hitters, trying to force the middle there, and she hits it out.
Well, and that's another reason why when you're blocking as good as Texas A&M is, hitters are now going to have to try to hit around you. And Palacios trying to hit around McKenna Patterson, hits it too far. So even when you don't get credit for the block, you've got to give credit to McKenna Patterson right there for forcing Palacios to go around her.
Milk Connor with a good dig, and then Triana Rush finishes it off for the Aggies, and this is the biggest lead we've seen from Texas A&M in this match so far, up by 9.
Yeah, this is where the Aggies are really just kind of taking it away, and St. John's is going to do whatever they can to stop the momentum right here. But if you're Texas A&M, you want to finish with a statement.
You can really feel the momentum shifting toward the Aggies here in this third set as Taylor Ross continues to serve for the Aggies. Hitting error there by Kaylee Wood. You mentioned her earlier, the native of the Woodlands, a junior, getting some playing time here in this match. That was a hard one for Holland Hands. That ball was way far outside the pin.
Yeah, tough play right there. It was a nice up by Voss, and then Gomez to get it out there, 2 hands, but she tried to cut it really sharp and just didn't quite clear the net.
Ace by McLova.
And this
Still
is
an 8-point lead for the
Yeah,
Aggies.
and this is where if you're St. John's, you got to keep fighting. You know, you don't want to lay down and die right here just because it's the third set and you're down by 8. You've got to keep working hard. And unfortunately, right there, a service error by McLova, trying to be a little too aggressive, going for that deep serve. But you've got to want to end your season on as high of a note as possible. And first round appearance is obviously a great one, but you also want to play hard to the finish. Free ball coming for the Aggies.
Holland Hands takes advantage of it and goes straight down the line for the kill.
And if you're Texas A&M, you've got to keep building momentum. Yes, it looks like that you're going to run away with this game and this match, but you've got another match tomorrow if you come away with this victory. So go ahead and keep working, keep executing, just as if this ball game was 19-18.
Rush off the block, point Texas A&M, and they're the first to 20 up now by 11 points. And you're right, this match seems to be going all Texas A&M's way here at this point in the third set.
Well, and in this current set, Casey, Texas A&M hitting 455, St. John's hitting -37. So just a real struggle right here by the Johnnies.
You can just see the wind kind of come out of their sails a little bit here, but that was a good play there by Palacios out of the middle to get the point.
Just a nice soft touch right in kind of the middle of no man's land for Palacios.
Sanabia, the senior libero, going back to serve now. What could be her final match for the Red Storm. Triana Rush, she really wanted that. She was calling for it.
I was going to say, you might have been able to hear it even in our microphones. She was calling for it. She wanted it. Connor heard her, gave her what she wanted, and hey, you got to love it when your hitter takes advantage. If you're going to call for it that loudly, you better get the kill. Rush was able to answer.
Alexikou comes back. Still 13 kills for her, and she leads all Red Storm in this match. Miklova following with 11 right now. Rastili 7. For Texas A&M, Holland Hands with 15, and then Triana Rush with 9. Lauren Davis 6. Service error. Point St. John. So if the trend holds and the Aggies do win this match, they will face Rice tomorrow night. Same time, same channel. Chelsea and I will be here to bring that match to you.
In Rice with a big sweep against Oklahoma. As we mentioned in the earlier match, they look like they are playing very well right now.
Should be another great match as Holland Hands actually misses that ball on that dig. But this match has slowed down quite a bit now. Getting near the end of the third set here. The first set was...
the first set was very close. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No,
the first
okay.
set very close. Second set still very close. This one definitely a bigger gap between the two teams. I was interested to see how Texas A&M was going to come off that 3-2 loss to Florida in Gainesville to end their season. You know, talking to the players yesterday, they all said, even though we lost, we were in that game the whole time. And McKenna Patterson actually said it best. She goes, they were the perfect opponent for us to end our season on, because that's who you're going to play. Those are the types of teams you're going to play in the NCAA tournament. We wanted to play a tournament caliber team so we could go into the tournament with that feeling. You know, you go up against a team that's maybe at the bottom of your league, it's a little bit harder to get the same feeling of competitive volleyball.
Camila Gomez not letting any balls go down. Block for Texas A&M. McKenna Patterson gets the block. And this takes A&M here to match points to move on to the second round of the NCAA Volleyball Championships. Going to bring Allison Fields in to serve now for Camila Gomez.
Hey, you know, no matter what, any type of experience in postseason is experience.
It's a big thing
even
for
if
your
it's
program.
1 point right here for Fields.
Kenna Patterson, and that's it. The Aggies have done it. They've won the first round and will move on to face the Rice Owls tomorrow night. Chelsea, we thought we'd get a close match. We did, but Texas A&M at the end of the day was just too strong.
Yeah, Texas A&M and St. John's, great match there, especially in the first couple of sets. The Aggies really taking it away in this one, but Texas A&M improving to 13-1 on the season at home here in Reed Arena. The Aggies just look unstoppable on their home court.
We'll be right back here with you tomorrow evening as the Aggies take on the Rice Owls. For Chelsea Reber and our entire crew at 12 Man Productions, I'm Casey Richardson. saying good night from College Station, Texas. Once again, our final score, Texas A&M 3, St. John's 0. This has been a presentation of the SEC ESPN Network.